What is up, guys? It is Slay here, and welcome back to another World of Warships Legends gameplay. And today we are in Tier 6 British King George class battleship, the Duke of York. And the Duke of York is a King George class battleship. Now, the difference between the King George and the Duke of York is, of course, a battleship with sonar, and the King George has planes. On top of that, we have different AA armaments, and those armaments are going to be that the Duke of York has 39 by 1 20mm guns, and the King George has pretty much, I believe, was 18 by 1 20mm guns. Now, the Duke of York has more AA guns, which leads for me to have more clear sky medals than the King George ship. On top of that, we have, as I mentioned, the sonar, which is, it's useful. It's pretty good. It's something unique, and I like unique ships. Detectability of torpedoes are 3 kilometers, and I mostly use a sonar when I'm rushing a smoke destroyer, and detectability of that ship is going to be 4.2. Now, as you know, the King George mostly use HE, so the Duke of York is going to mostly be using HE as well. So the main focus points of damage is going to come from me shooting HE. Now we're up to 19,000 damage with our HE, and believe it or not, we're actually going to punch this Nagato for quite a lot of damage. Now you're going to see in the next salvo that I'm actually going to punch him for a number that was kind of impressive when I first saw it. So Nagato is going to damage Kratori's fire, or maybe it ran out. I don't know which one happened. But we're going to punch all 3 guns there for that salvo, and we actually punch him for 16,255 damage, along with 2 fires. Yep, you saw that right. That was 16,000 damage off HE. And our build is wow. Now, for our build today, our commander is going to be Ozzy Lane Nelson as our commander. And our commander is, pretty good. HE's pretty much HE build. Inspiration is going to be the one and only Andrew Cunningham for that shell grouping of our battleship main guns. And our new inspiration for this build is going to be Levin or Lev Galler for our HE shell damage there. Now we're going to demonstrate once again why our HE is good as we punch the New Mexico for about 3,000 damage. Along with that, we are shooting down these aircraft planes, which, don't sleep on this ship. This ship is really good with its AA guns, and I would definitely not send any planes near the Duke of York unless you're a tier 7 aircraft carrier. Now, here we do shoot a salvo at the New Mexico, and that was unfortunately enough that we didn't get another fire there. But we're going to make that up with this next salvo here, and I believe we set a fire on the New Mexico. We're up to 6 fires and 89,301 damage. Oh, that's unfortunate for the New Mexico. We weren't able to set another fire, but it's okay. This game is going to be a very long game, and it's just going to be me going back and forward, making sure that at least someone stays back in the base and makes contact with any destroyer that might want to cap our base. Now, the Bayern did a good move there to maneuver at the last second and avoid getting HE'd in a fire if that were to be the case. So the Duke of York, monstrous heal, not like monstrous as the Vanguard or the Nelson, but it is pretty reliable when it comes to recovering HE spamming health or torpedo damage. But on the other hand, the weakness that the Duke of York has is if it's targeted by many ships, and I'm talking about HE cruisers and even destroyers, cough cough, the Freezeman, this ship is going to struggle, and the deck armor for this ship is pretty weak and it's not resistant to any kind of type of HE. 152 millimeter of HE could devastate and leave this ship back to port any time of the day. So you got to be careful with how you position your battleship. And on top of that, you got to remember that the Duke of York is not a ship to be brawling with. So I've seen a lot of people try to brawl with the ship, and maybe it is possible, but the Duke of York is, well, anything above 356 millimeter guns could and will hit you hard in the bow. So definitely a ship that stays in the back, supports, heavy supports, of course, sort of like what the King George does. Now we are spotted here. We got hit by the Nelson with HE, and Nelson 406 millimeter guns is something I don't want to be broadside up against. And I believe this, yeah, this dispersion was just horrible. So pay attention to how, oh, okay, no, it was the next salvo, I believe, that I shoot and all my shells just go around him, which was kind of weird. I believe it's this one. I believe this one is the one we get the kill, but yeah, this one's the one we get the kill on. But I think it was 2 salvos earlier that we demonstrated that yeah, that dispersion was horrible, but it's the odds of having bad dispersion for the Duke of York is it's like 2 out of 8 salvos pretty much. I was shooting at a 4-kilometer destroyer, and I only managed to get 1 shell while the others were literally pretty much separated from the target. Pretty much I was shooting at the target, but a shell managed to be wonky left or wonky right, or, you know, undershot or overshot, which is weird. But yeah, I've seen weird things with the Duke of York. I missed a salvo on a cruiser broadside before, but at the same time, you gotta remember RNG is not on my side all the time. But when it is on my side, I am definitely going to be citadeling a cruiser when it gives me my broadside, or its broadside. And the Burgoyne here gets set on fire by our HE, and I do know the Burgoyne is a light cruiser, so it really doesn't like HE. Now for this Nelson, I don't want to be broadside once again. 406 millimeter guns is a dangerous amount of salvo shells to send me back to port, and unfortunately we could not finish the Burgoyne here, and we're gonna have to angle ourselves for the Nelson so we don't get shot at. And I believe the Nelson sets us on fire. Yep, right there. And like I said, the ship does not like HE. It shoots HE, but it does not like receiving HE. So we're gonna try our best to avoid getting HE spammed by the cruiser, and of course the Nelson. So what is left here? We are currently winning, about 400 points difference. We have the leverage here, and we do have a little small crossfire set on the Nelson. And that's going to give the reason for the Nelson to angle himself towards them. And unfortunately, he's going to go dark, and we're going to be unable to shoot our HE. On top of that, we are pretty much out of our range for our gun, so that's going to be a problem if we're not able to help with our teammates with a crossfire there. And I do believe they have 2 destroyers, the Mass and the Boivo, which are pretty decent destroyers. The Boivo, you already know, is it's an destroyer. But the Mass, you know, the Mass is a incredible tier 6 destroyer. And being German, it has that small smoke, but on top of that, it does have that sonar that is really powerful when needed. So we have about 14 seconds before our sonar is available once again, and we're up to 120,000 damage, which is pretty good for the Duke of York. And we're trying to see if we can get another kill in case that one of our ships go down. We're gonna lose this game. So Boyoini here is well, he is pretty sneaky with how maneuverability he is, or his evasive turns. He is going to manage to avoid that and avoid another salvo. We're down now since our destroyer goes down, and it's going to leave us in a little picky little situation where we must sink this Boyoini. And right here we try to shoot to the left, and he manages to turn and avoid getting shot at there. Now for the next salvo, we're going to take our time. Instead of just trying to predict the cruiser's next move, we're going to take our time and then shoot at where his next 2 steps are pretty much going to be, as our aircraft carrier tries to torpedo him and unfortunately does not get him. So with this salvo, we are going to get the cruiser down. We're going to damage control our fire, and we're going to heal up because, well, this game is not over, and it does have 1 minute and 10 seconds left for this game, but this game is not over. We still have 2 destroyers on the field for them, and battleship with 460mm guns and an aircraft carrier. So, the aircraft carrier takes down the destroyer, and I will have no problem with the Boivo there, because, well, Boivo has about, I believe, 8-kilometer torpedoes. Last time we checked, he was about 20. We do punch the Nelson there with about 7,000, 8,000 damage with HE. He does set us on fire, and I believe the aircraft carrier does set us on fire, or hits us with HE there. And yeah, we're gonna turn here and use our AP. Well, what was planned was to use AP on the Nelson, but we had to angle ourselves, and the Nelson sets us on fire once again, and the game is going to be over now. The aircraft carrier is going to get hit by 2 or 1 Citadel actually, and the game's over. So a pretty good game, not a crazy excited game, but it was a pretty long battleship for the Duke of York. We're going to manage to get 15 fires, 1 Citadel, 142,669 damage. But we do get 280 or 2,834 XP for a pretty good game. We also get 435,615 credit, which is pretty good for a tier 6 premium ship. Would I recommend this ship for you guys? Probably not, but hey, I like unique ships. So anyways guys, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like and I'll see you guys on